listening to the Johnny Monaco podcast.
It's not me, it's absolutely you.
That guy's an idiot.
I'm totally cutting him off.
It just doesn't make any sense. Well, you didn't get one thing right. I mean, it's the title of the thing.
I gotta get out of here.
I liked her. I don't know what happened. He not being busy born is busy dying. It all comes down to accountability. Your actions have consequences. Haven't we learned anything from a one Taylor Swift? I'm thinking of starting a cult, but only because I'd love to meet someone where the groping is mutual. I really do want to live my life and enjoy myself. I do. It's just that you got to be really selective, because once you find someone, then they're going to know all your secrets. Okay, let's see. Where did I leave off? Oh yeah, I was riding my motorcycle around, minding my own business, trying to think of what to do next, when... Was asked to join Tantric and toured around with them for a few months before leaving the band due to a falling out I had with the sociopathic drummer who, oddly enough, was the one who brought me in the first place and was later fired for embezzlement of band funds. It wasn't my style of music anyways, and I should have known better. People don't change. Got a call while day drinking and was asked to join LA Guns. Did a week of rehearsals in LA and toured with the band for the next 3 months, and even got a chance to see Australia for the first time. It's beautiful there. Nice enough guys, but ultimately I didn't feel it was the right fit for me, and I decided to move on. I got bored. Got an email from the manager of Ratt who said they were looking for a guitar player, and my name came up. Flew to LA on my own dime with a 3-day notice and auditioned at Juan Crochet's house. It went well and they said I did great. But I never heard back, and they ultimately chose someone else. Ended up recording a few songs on Donnie V's new album, Beautiful Things. You remember him, right? I'm sober. Have you ever tried to talk to a squirrel? Played a train wreck of an acoustic show with him at a real pretentious place called Space. His sister paid me though, and parking wasn't terrible, so I didn't complain too much. He now goes by the self-proclaimed title, the King of Power Pop. Got an email from the keyboard player in Alcatrazz who said they were looking for a new guitar player, and my name came up. He ended up flying to Chicago and sat in my bedroom and watched me burn through about 10 killer Yngwie-era Alcatrazz tunes. I was flawless, he agreed. He also met my mother, who ironically was wearing the same red vest he had on in the Live Sentence 1984 video. We went back and forth in emails for a while. After that, his main reluctance was that I didn't live in LA and they wanted someone local for rehearsals and photo shoots. I assured him I didn't really need more than one rehearsal and that I photographed extremely well, and I even offered to move to LA, but he said he couldn't assure it would be financially worth it for me and that he couldn't really guarantee anything. Eventually, they chose someone else with a proportionate jewelry to chest hair ratio. No, yeah, he lives in Boston. By this point, I had been working on my own dance-inspired cover band, the Socialites, and out of sheer desperation in dealing with the incompetence of every bass player in town, I built my own bass player out of spare parts in the garage. Her name is Charlotte, and she's fabulous.
Hello everyone, my name is Charlotte. I play the bass guitar and sing.
She's hot, never misses a note, and she says all the right stuff.
I'm tall and pretty.
I took her to the gigs in a body bag, but she didn't like that very much, so now I just walk her in with a cover over her head like a bird. Was asked to host a weekly open mic night at Brower House, sold my motorcycle for no good reason, weaned myself off Xanax my doctor had me on for sleeping issues because I thought it was taking too much of the edge off, and struggled for months and months with insomnia and anxiety-related symptoms. Don't ever take that stuff. Continued working on my new album. She said she found her soulmate. Got a weekly solo live gig at Bar Louie inside the Holiday Inn. Let me take you to Funky Town. Fixed the fuel lines on my car. I was almost killed. Recorded a video for the song Jardin de Luxembourg by Sean Lennon and Charlotte Kemp Muhl. It's on my YouTube page. Actually then met Sean Lennon and Charlotte at the Claypool Lennon Delirium show. They were fantastic. I'm in love. Played guitar in a spot for Thailand Yamaha. It was a success. Opened for Tony Lewis of the Outfield. Yes, he played that one song. Played a few private events and was openly mocked for it by Phil Lewis on Facebook. Living the dream, eh, Johnny? Mark Safe from the Humboldt Park Lagoon celebrity Alligator had my sexuality questioned in a metal sludge thread because evidently I'm not seen with very many girls. It's not my fault they're problematic. I was innocent. Played at the Displays Friday Night's Live concert series for the 4th year in a row. They loved it. Was fired from Bar Louie after a solid 7-month residency by a 1 a.m. Facebook message from the new general manager with questionable punctuation and was never paid for my last show, and she won't return my messages. Evidently they're going out of business. Tried to find out what the big hoopla was all about with this Popeye's chicken sandwich, but they didn't have one. They still don't. Was featured in Donnie V's new video and was almost run down by an adult hipster on a motorized scooter. In his defense, his fitted shirt may have been too tight and his filthy beard was getting in the way of his sightlines. Started a new weekly residency at Countyline Tavern. Way better place, and they made a huge poster of me, so. Which brings us to today, the quarantine. The virus is here. People have been taking to the Facebook Live and staying inside, doing things, unimaginable things, singing in the kitchen, into a broom, guitar videos, playing their drums in the kitchen. No one needs to ever see that. Yeah, for a long time, too, like a full song. And then there's some attempts at topical comedy. I don't know. Well, thank you. Hey, I'm here for you. We're all in this together, you guys. Thank you. Yeah, so the quarantine, huh? Everybody's going crazy, huh? Where's all the toilet paper? Everyone's buying toilet paper. The store shelves are all empty. You know what I mean? Can't find any hand sanitizer. You know what I'm saying? Got to stay inside with my family. They're driving me crazy. Social distancing. What's up with that? Am I right? Looks like me and Netflix got a date for tonight. Am I right, guys?
Go back to your mom's basement.
Oh man, I'm losing them. Let's see. Toilet paper, store shelves, social distancing, Netflix. Oh, I know. So how about that Tiger King, huh? Is that for real? Who wears their hair like that still? Am I right, guys? Watching that is almost more of an apocalypse for me than the actual virus. But it's tough to stay inside. It's when you find out what you're made of. And it's hard to think of things to do. You're bored, you know. This is like a normal week for me. I'm usually... without the exception of being able to go to restaurants and maybe not being so diligent with touching handles, which I usually am anyway. I know where those people's stinky hands have been, in their butts. And I don't want to get sick because I have pretty good insurance, but, then you got to go to the hospital. There's more sick people. It's a whole ordeal getting sick. So I've been inside for a long time now, and it has its challenges, but it's just watching the other people's posts. I just can't help but feel that a lot of it is virtue signaling and exploiting a pandemic for their own self-promotion. And I get that they're out of work and that they can't play every weekend. I'm not doing it, but they're asking for, tip jar money to play cover songs in the kitchen. It doesn't sound that good. I think they don't realize that when you're in a big room with people drinking and hanging out and the music's loud and there's drums and everyone's talking, it's different than when it's just you and a mic, You got to be pretty good or at least interesting. And I know a lot of these people, they claim that they're, you can't really jump on them because the message they're giving, be well, be good out there, you guys, be kind to each other. A new one is eat healthy. You can't really say anything bad about those things because they're good things. I just have a problem with why you need to be the one to tell me that. I feel like you're so much better than the rest of us. Oh, be good and kind and eat well? I would have never thought of that. Thanks for letting me know. I'm going to start doing that tomorrow. Because that horrible song you just played from your kitchen really inspired me to get it together. Now in a quarantine, it only took like a pandemic for people to, I'm going to start practicing. Yeah. And then they got to tell you about it and, assure you that we're all in this together. I, again, would have never guessed that. I thought I was the only one being quarantined in Bartlett in my call sack. Just me. Yeah. Doesn't matter if you can't sing or play the guitar or even know the words or what's going on. I just need to do this for you. I'm not doing it for myself. No. I'm doing this as a gift from me to you. And I know we're all not working right now, but if you can at least give me some money for this crap. Hey guys, we're going to be going live. And then they're unleashing it on me because I got to listen to it. I don't know. These people make it sound like it's some selfless act, and it's not. It's a selfish one, and it's done with an angle. They need to be adored so much so that even being home for 1 week is just killing them. Why don't you just watch TV like everybody else? Do something else. And don't put it on Facebook because it's probably not interesting unless you're doing something dangerous. And I don't even have a problem with asking for donations because you need money. But at least make it original. And if not, make the covers good. Because a lot of these guys in these local cover bands have day jobs and corporate gigs. And they're making like 6 figures. And they get benefits. I've seen them go on vacations longer than we've been in quarantine. But they can't take 2 weeks off because they're not getting the accolades from the idiots that think Just a Small Town Girl is the name of the song. It might sound bad, but if you're in a position where you can't take 2 weeks off without having to ask people for money for you to play some cover tunes at home in your underwear, you're either doing something wrong and you shouldn't be in this business, or you know what you're doing and you're just kind of scamming people to feed your own ego. So which is it? Oh, and your material isn't great either. I know it sounds bad, but everyone is just so full of shit, you know? They're gaslighting you. They're just coming off really nice. Those are the people you can't trust. The real nice ones. Why you think they're being so nice? Because they're trying to do something to you. You got to be really alert with these people. Like the preachers on TV, those guys. They talk to God, you know? Donnie V writes songs with God. That's different. They have a timeshare. But these guys on TV talking about how they got a direct pipeline and all we got to do is welcome Jesus into our hearts. And just accept him. Just bow down, accept him, and you're fine. That's all you got to do. And we're going to get you on the phone, and we also want to get a little bit of donation because we need a new Mac Pro for our Facebook videos for the Broom Challenge. And I'm trying to buy some lighting gear so I could do better Facebook live streams. The whole thing is really starting to feel like an old English end-of-days novel, isn't it? The elderly shook with fear as they knew their weakened immune system would not have the capacity of fighting off a combo soup burn, let alone a pandemic virus, for they would surely be the first of the herd to be called. Millennial and local cover bands alike took to the Facebook Live, a pandemic in itself and my personal apocalypse, with claims of entertaining us and giving back to the community in their own selfless and giving way, #stay-home. But deep down in our hearts we knew the real reason. We knew. Their hearts were unpure and filled with their own hubris as they peacocked their mediocrity for the accolades of the layman they so desire. So I've been watching a lot of Cannon. It's a cop show from the 70s. Frank Cannon, featuring William Conrad. This guy, I'm not sure if I watched him when they originally aired, but this guy, I just love him. He's so good. He'll make a face and he'll smile and he'll do this thing, but you could see behind the eyes, something's coming. He's going to karate chop you. He does a lot of chops. He'll chop you. A lot of wrestling moves. Every episode he gets like hit in the head or knocked out. He comes back. You can't keep Cannon down.
Tonight's episode,
I can't stop watching the show. It's so good. I stay up all night watching it. And I just watch him, and I think I learned a lot from him. I learned the term paper tiger. He's a paper tiger. And I goes, who's the paper tiger? It means like a guy that looks tough that isn't really tough. I didn't know that term. I started calling tough-looking millennials that when I first heard it. They were looking at me like, I don't know. They thought it was some kind of vaping thing. They're like, who's Frank Cannon? Shut up. But I really like to watch it because it's filmed in L.A. back in the 70s. So it shows like all the old buildings and the old cars, which are huge and great. He drives one of those huge Continentals. It's got always a blue one, or it's got red interior, and he lives in a high-rise. He's got a shooting range in his apartment. I think it's a condo. I don't know. It's on Sunset. I looked it up. It's like really expensive to live there now. He's got a phone in his car, but back then it was like a real phone, like a regular size phone with a cable, curly cord. And when someone calls him, the horn beeps. Hold on, I got a call. Just got to run out there to the car. And the way they film it is great too. It's always these wide panning shots of him driving by the ocean or up in the hills. It's great. It just doesn't look the same anymore out there. It's cool now too, but just back then it just had more of a Spawn Ranch feel to it or something. I don't know. I just, one day I was thinking, what else could I do? And I'm thinking, private detective. I think I'd be good at that. So I started looking up how to be a private detective, and I can't be Cannon. There's no way I could be Cannon. He's too good. He cooks. He's got that mustache. He smiles. The way he smiles, just there's something about him. He's like, oh, okay. He's a man of the people. I can't get enough of Cannon. So, because it's not like it used to be back then with the people. And it's mainly because now they're horrible and boring, and without being offended or telling others how grateful they should all be, they'd have nothing to say at all. It's like a doctor with a scalpel versus like me with a scalpel. Well, maybe not me, but you know what I mean. And that's the problem. Everyone thinks they're just as good as the next person who's like way better than them at whatever that thing is. They get the gist of it, and then not only do they feel they're now peers, but then they start teaching it or want people to ask them questions. Ask me about anything, these idiots. Just ask me and I'll tell you. Like somehow they've graduated to that level, in between being horrible and glossing over the 101 notes. Because you just can't be okay anymore. You have to be great at something, or else you're only playing to your base. And that's fine, but don't call it for more than it is. And your base isn't really a good reference, because of course they're going to coddle you and tell you how great you are, because they don't really know any better. It's just feeding your ego, and falsely too. It's groupthink, a zealot. Because lately everyone is offended by everything. You can't say anything bad anymore, even if it's the truth. Everything is all about positivity, and you're blessed for every little thing. So I just don't say anything anymore, which is a new thing for me. But silence is better than lying right to their face, I guess, which most people I deal with, that's all they're doing all the time. Let's ask Cannon. Or maybe I just know horrible people. It could be that too. We might not agree on every little thing, but I think we all can agree that people that laugh real loud in restaurants are sociopaths. There's no call for that, okay? It's probably not even that funny, whatever's happening at that table. And I don't want to hear your screams of laughter unless it's really funny. Because, I don't know, people are just getting weird. They're getting weirder and weirder. And I'm not even in a weird area. I'm in like suburbs. I guess that's kind of weird. Opening the door for people. I open the door, I see this family coming at me. And it's Chipotle, so there's going to be, you got to go through that line. It's like then you go in another line. So getting a good spot is something, But I'm like, it's got his kids. I didn't realize there was like 7 of them. So I open the door, this huge family comes in front of me, and, I'm waiting for them. They're slow to get to the door, yet they're going to be in front of you in the line. The kids running around, licking everything and sneezing. Keep that walking petri dish away from me, And the parents just let it do whatever it wants. Running in circles, licking the banner, spinning on it like it's doing gymnastics. Stupid, They were looked filthy. The whole family looked like they needed to take a bath. And then they get up there to order, and it's like these people, they're not even ready. There's a huge billboard up there that you put the order together in numbers. They're like, let's see, what do you want? Now they're going to make the decisions. There's people like in line, in front and back. They're just hanging out, trying to figure out what numbers he wants to feed his kids. I want daddy yet. His finger in his nose. Do something about that. They're the same ones that they're in Target and the mom's pushing the cart and the kids are like screaming and hitting each other with sticks in the head. Come on, baby. Ugh. Jeez. But if you say anything, you're the asshole. So lately, of course, I've been hearing a lot about hate-like and woke culture. There's so many new made-up words I've been hearing a lot. And lots of these words really just explain the obvious. With me, though, it's more of a hate-hate. I don't secretly like the thing I'm hating on. I actually think it's awful, and I'm celebrating my hate for it, if you will. I know, that's very frowned upon these days. You cannot tell the truth, and everything has to be positive, or else you're a negative person. They don't want us to be around that. But, millennials, people are worse than they think they are. See, before it used to be, you just don't know how good you are. Now it's, you just don't know how horrible you really are. There's no self-awareness anymore. You should hear the absolutely painful, I'm starting a podcast, blog, comedy, music, YouTube channel. It's easy. My company model is going to be blah, 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 conversation being scream talk next to me at Starbucks. Lots of yeahs and right-ons. And they're attempting to discuss microphones. And he tells the whole place basically that he's 36. Well, I'm 36. Also, the older one just brought up like Felix the cat, and then the rest of them looked at him. They didn't know what he meant. And this is like a new breed of arrogance and super confident about the nothing they actually know. It's staggering. They all think they got that, and they don't got that. Felix the what? And it's not like, well, you're just old, and when you were a kid, you said that about people too, because it's a false equivalence. We weren't dealing with the same set of tools. My iPhone, I could do everything on that thing. I mean, anything. You can do a lot with an iPhone. We didn't have that kind of technology in 1982. I mean, you should really be a lot better by now. If you got an iPhone and all this ability, you should be great at whatever you're doing and not horrible like you are. You couldn't Google a live Randy Rhoads solo to watch his hands and see, where he's playing that stuff. That would have been impossible then. You'd have to find the VHS bootleg in Japan somewhere. I actually did that. But now, you can just look on your phone and go on YouTube. Have you ever had a conversation with some of these kids? I'm not saying all of them, because once in a great while, you'll find someone you're a little impressed with, and they have some urgency and focus on what they're doing. But then you see that glazed look for a second in their eyes that's kind of like, these ice skates can slip out from under me at any moment. Like this fucking kid at Wendy's. That kid. I mean, have you ever talked to these asshole kids? You're watching an adult, interact with a kid. It's like watching two different species together. The millennial is uncomfortable in this habitat. He's gripped with fear as the older and wiser mammal gazes upon his now cold french fry order in disgust. When they do something like the basics of whatever the job requirement is, and you say thank you, the response is always, no problem. Why would it be a problem? You're at a job, doing the job. Very adequately, might I add. No problem? How about of course, or you're welcome? That just shows the lack of urgency they have for anything. I'm scrolling through the weather of different cities, kids trying to talk to me, and I've been seeing all these millennial commercials. And when did being an Airbnb host become such a celebrated life goal? I mean, they have this confident, determined, satisfied, smug look on their face. Like that neck tattoo that's keeping it really edgy is onto something big now. Dick pics is their new way of wooing you. And bad breath says more about your standards than it does your horrible hygiene. It's always the shittiest people with the least ability that want to give you their opinion or their movie review. I highly recommend it. Oh, do you? Mm-hmm. Always carrying the torch for the obvious. So blessed. So grateful. I just learned about the Instagram double tap, so maybe I am a little out of the loop. I don't know. And there's nothing worse than seeing one of these go-getters, hoodlums, whatever you want to call them, attempt human interaction when they're walking around my neighborhood trying to do cold call sales for something they can barely tell you anything about. It's like listening to someone try to sell you on something that they just learned like a block over. And who dresses like that in real life? It was like a cross between a rapist and a Best Buy uniform. Power roof, home modeling, I don't know. He had to shake my hand. I literally held it in the air and went directly to the sink to scrub it. It was like shaking a wet fish. That creepy little fucker said, "These windows look fine, but I noticed some condensation around the lower side windows." So an uninvited window inspection by this kid, and then he, walks around the house and looks? I looked after he left, and it looked fine to me, and I didn't see any condensation either. They always want to make you think that they're this entrepreneur when they really should just go out and mug somebody and earn their money. And that's the thing. Everybody is always trying to scam you. Let's ask Cannon.
Hey, Ken.
Yeah?
Where you going?
Well, I was just heading out to my big fat car so that I could boogie on out of here. Why?
Oh, man.
Crazy kids, get off my lawn. Okay, so a little on LA Guns. I know it was very kind that they asked me to join because I do have somewhat of a past with them. I mean, they were really nice to me. We're friends. But just after a short while, I don't know, I got kind of bored with it. I mean, it's probably just me. I mean, it's just really not my style of music. I was playing mainly rhythm guitar, and you know how I like to get it going. And I really like to travel. And, well, not according to Phil Lewis, because he made a comment in an interview about it and said, not everyone's born to be wild. He likes to be in his own little world. Hey, you know what? I know how to get wild. I'm wearing 2 different pairs of socks right now, okay? And I like traveling because, you get out of town for a while, you get to see other places. But they had me running around on all these money-saving, connecting flights and dragging 2 Les Pauls through airports and shoving them in the overhead on a plane and, everyone in the aisle behind me was giving me attitude. I'd have to get all kinds of tattoos and stop washing my hair. I also didn't have the right outfits for it. I mean, by the time we'd get to the town, all the medieval time shops were closed. But Tracy was very generous to me. He let me use a few of his guitars, gave me an amp, actually bought me one of those Headrush floor units. I never opened the box. I sent it back, but it was very nice of him. He drove me to the airport once. He was always nice. Phil told me one time in Australia, "Johnny, we love sharing the stage with you, but could you please, no more glasses and hats and winter scarves on stage." Yeah, he was wearing a top hat and what I think were welding goggles when he told me that, but, Oh, and it wasn't a winter scarf. It was a vintage silk scarf, and I looked cool. And he told me this right after we just got off stage, so I was kind of bummed out about it because I had just posted a picture, and everyone seemed to love it. So I just walked back to the hotel by myself. Plus, I kind of wanted to see a little more of the city at night. It was far, though. You don't really know how far stuff is when you're in a different country. And I was trying to save money, so I didn't Uber. I thought the hotel was closer. Plus, I couldn't use my phone because the rates are different out there and you need to set up a travel plan before you go. It's just a whole thing. I just felt like I was always on my own, but I guess it could have just been me. And it was always super loud on stage, and Johnny Martin would always stand in front of my guitar pedals because he insists on spreading his legs as far apart as they'll go for some reason. Something about the band hierarchy and marking his territory, I don't know what he was talking about. So I'd end up crammed in the back and nowhere near a mic, and that's just not a good place for me. Nobody puts Baby in a corner. Especially since I just got done dragging those 2 Les Pauls to the airport, and I just got my hair done for the tour. So I'd be up there every night. I couldn't hear anything because it was so loud I had to cram earplugs way into my ears. I couldn't see because you wouldn't let me wear my glasses, and of course I couldn't feel anything because, well, there's no emotional feeling going on there. Plus, I have a black heart, so... But the last straw was when their manager, who goes on tour with them, asked me to iron his shirt and vest for him in between sound check and showtime. I mean... I had to get ready too. You think I just wake up like this? I said okay because, I don't know why, I'm a practical person and it was wrinkled. But do you think he would have asked Tracy or Phil to do that? You couldn't be asking the bass player. He'd end up starting that crazy hair on fire and melting his cut-off gloves to the hotel ironing board. And the guy's wife was there, selling merch. What, she never seen an iron before? And the worst part is it was the shirt that I had picked out for him earlier when I helped him shop for something to make it look less like Yosemite Sam showed up and more like Reuben Kincaid was there. I don't know, I tried, but I just felt more like a servant than I had really wanted to. Sort of felt like I was always walking on eggshells. But it all worked out because they have a new guy now, fits in perfectly. Phil said, "This is my dream lineup, and I don't have to share a hotel room with someone who snores exactly like Gulliver." So when I first joined the band, I kind of felt like I was peer pressured into buying this $65 back patch of the band logo. They had me included in a group text, and all day we'd be going back and forth, mostly locker room talk, teenagers would do, or girls. And all day, the phone would be blowing up, and the manager had this big idea to contract a friend of his to make these embroidered LA Guns back patches that we were all supposed to wear on the backs of our jackets. I don't really wear that kind of stuff. Everyone has their own thing, and I was new, and I didn't want to say no, so I kind of felt like I had to say yes. So I said yes, and he wanted the money up front. So he goes, "We'll just take the $65 out of your first check. Don't worry about it." So I'm already 65 in the hole. So I told my mother about it, and she goes, "A patch? You mean like an eye patch?" I'm like, "No, for like the back of my leather jacket." She goes, "You're going to ruin your jacket like that." I go, "I know, that's what I'm saying. I've had this jacket for like 30 years. I just met these guys. I'm not really a patch guy, though. It's like putting a sticker on your guitar or something. I don't know." So almost 3 months went by. We never got the patches. And then I'm talking to Shane, the drummer. I guess he's seen one of them, and he said it wasn't that great, but they were going to have him redo it. And it never happened, and I never got the patch. So I asked for my money back at the end, I want my records back. It's no problem. And, they haven't called me since, though. So, I can't help it if I'm not a patch guy. I just like a plain, smooth surface. It's like more unassuming for me. You can accessorize better because you're working with a blank canvas. Otherwise, it just gets too busy. Also, why would you wear your own patch of your own band? I haven't talked to them in a while. Hopefully, they're not mad at me. There's no reason to be. And you never know. One day, maybe they'll just say, "You know what? Let's try it again." And I'll be like, "Can I borrow one of your guitars?" And I'm going to try way harder this time. I'm going to get way better earplugs, a way better scarf, maybe even a patch this time. No complaining, whatever it takes. A few months back, I did hear that Donnie V said something about LA Guns. Not just anyone can come up with the stuff I do. A long time ago, being crazy meant something. Nowadays, everybody's crazy. Everyone's got something to say. Wolf, cop, Roth, Vantage, Google, Ride, Boots, Pot, Pooch, Pooch, Jab, Jam, Ram, Ramage, Jig, Jack, Google, Bible, Ram, Nita, Giggle, Left, Damage, Wiggle, Bigle, there goes my heart. And someone got a hold of it, and I guess Phil Lewis heard, and he had a response for it.
Let me tell you a story of a little wee man named Donnie V. Let me tell you, Donnie V, we pay our band members handsomely with porridge and good times, poking fun at other bands. You poking fun with your little songs and your fruity face. Oh, Donnie, oh, I love you. But you cannot play with the big boys. You couldn't afford my bandanas and my beautiful vests. You look at you with your hippiness and your phony love.
They're fine now, though. They worked it all out. They were just both having a bad day, but they get along great now. Okay, everybody. So hopefully you're handling the quarantine well. You're staying inside. Summer's right around the corner, so hopefully this whole thing will be over soon. I'm going to be putting out some new material, so until then, we will talk soon. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Every night I have the same old dream. Every day you sing me a song. I need to make a list of all the words I want to say to you and hope it's not wrong. 'Cause you're a tiger on the town, or at least that's what I tell myself when you're not around. So won't you give me a heart? I'm in love from the start. My busy head is clear when you're here. There's something special about her, 'cause she's leading all the good stuff in between. I wanna tell her I love her, but I've given up on everything. So tell it to my heart that we're never gonna be apart. Please can I take you out to the movies, and then we'll walk the town and do the lovers do. Oh, I hope it lasts forever. She'll make her way around the town to teach piano to the little children every day. The kids are anxiously awaiting and anticipating. She's their favorite part of her day. Around the corner from the fire station, down the street, the workers all ask for her name. But she'll just wink and smile, thanks for the appreciation. Running late must be